What are your strengths? If you are like the majority of people, chances are high that you may find it hard to answer that question. And by not knowing, you are, unfortunately, at risk of missing out on a lot. Knowing your strengths and understanding how to use them is one of the biggest gifts you could give to yourself. A gift that will allow you to define a career path that brings you closer to your authentic best self. And following that path will allow you to tap into your full potential so that you can create a career you really thrive in. If that sounds intriguing, then this video is for you. In this video, we first explore the benefits we can reap from putting our strengths at work, before we then look at a definition of what strengths actually are, which will be super helpful for us in the third section of this video, where we look into 5 different ways of exploring and finding our strengths. Let's get started. Hi there and a very warm welcome to the channel. My name is Sabine Renner. I'm a former investment banker, now organizational psychologist, leadership and personal development coach and trainer, and researcher in the field of positive psychology. On this channel, you will find proven and actionable tips, tools, and strategies that will help you take the lead, thrive in your career, and succeed at work and beyond. Now, I already mentioned it. There are actually many benefits waiting for those who are not only aware of their strengths, but who are able to make them an integral part of their lives and careers. Decades of strengths research have proven that people who are able to use their strengths at work on a regular basis are not only happier and more confident, they also experience less stress, are more resilient, and show much higher levels of energy. People who regularly use their strengths turn out to be also much more likely to achieve their goals and are more engaged in developing themselves. And science has also shown that people who have the opportunity to do what they do best at work are much more engaged than those of their peers whose work is not so much in alignment with their strengths. And this engagement then, very importantly, leads also to much higher levels of performance. Now, if you're curious to find out more and want to dive a bit deeper, have a look at the comments section where you'll find the link to the respective research studies. And now that we have seen that knowing, applying, and strengthening our strengths really pays off, let's move on to the next step and let's dive into question number 2, which is, what are actually strengths? Well, you may wonder why I'm actually asking that question. Isn't the answer very obvious? Well, take a moment to ask yourself, how would you define what a strength is? Over the last 10 years, I had the opportunity to explore the topic of strengths with hundreds, if not thousands of people I met in my leadership trainings and one-on-one coachings. And while the wording varies, I typically get an answer along the lines of, well, a strength is something that I'm good at, something that I can do very well. And while I agree with that statement, I believe that it is only part of the strengths equation. You may wonder what is missing? Well, let me introduce to you a strengths definition that was coined by researchers in the field of positive psychology, precisely Alex Linley and his team, more than 15 years ago. And that definition goes as follows. A strength is something that we not only do well, it is also something that we enjoy doing. When we are using our strengths, we feel energized, we get a buzz, and we feel that we are really in touch with our true self. A strength is something that strengthens us as we engage in it. Now let me ask you, how often do you really feel energized at work? Based on my experience, many people have an idea about what they are good at. They know their competencies and their skills, but more often than not, they are not aware of whether engaging in that competency actually energizes or trains them. And that is why we see so many people who actually have the opportunity to do what they are good at, but never really reach that state of flow at work, when time seems to fly and work doesn't really feel like work. Don't let this be you. In the next session, we'll go through 5 different approaches that will help you in finding your strengths. We'll go through several questions to explore your unique strengths portfolio. Now, what most likely is going to happen is that you'll come up with a long list that includes a mixture of real strengths and competencies. How to differentiate between the two? Well, simply ask yourself, how do I feel when I show this quality? Do I enjoy it? Does it energize me? Well, if so, then you've spotted a true strength. If it drains you, however, you don't enjoy it and you possibly try even to find ways to procrastinate, well then, most likely we talk about a competency, or how Alex Linley would call it, a learned behavior. Now let's dive into it and let's check out question number 3, which is, how can we find out what our strengths are? Here are 5 different ways that will help you in spotting your strengths. If you want to follow along, just grab a piece of paper and a pen and write down whatever comes to your mind as you explore these questions. I highly recommend that you don't rush through them, but instead take some time to see what comes up as you give your mind some time to actually wonder. Aim for more than one response to each question. As you go through these strength spotting questions, some answers might be of recurring nature, which is great as we are looking for common themes and patterns. The more frequently a strength shows up, the stronger it might be. Now, in order to get an as complete as possible picture, I highly recommend that you not only focus on one approach, but instead go through all of them, as they will help you in looking at your strengths from a broader variety of perspectives. As your answers to these questions unfold, you may want to double-click on your initial response, as not all strengths will be visible at first glance. Maybe you say something such as, "Oh, well, in this particular situation, I did the following," and you then refer to a behavior. If so, ask yourself, what strengths could lie underneath this? What has helped you to be successful in that particular situation? Approach number 1, past successes. Here are 2 questions for you to explore. Think about times when you have been at your best. Create a list of all your accomplishments. Think about successful projects and assignments at work, but also beyond. Think about your time at school or university or during your childhood. Which quality has helped you in achieving it? Think about times when you worked together with others in a team. What were your contributions and which quality helped you in this regard? Approach number 2, past challenges. Here are 2 more questions for you. Think about past challenges that you had to overcome and you succeeded. Which qualities contributed to this? And now explore times when things didn't go as planned and you had to recover from failure. What helped you to overcome it and bounce back? Approach number 3, flow experiences. In this section, you may want to ask yourself the following questions. Think about times at school, university, or at work when you had to learn something new and it felt easy. When you learned things rapidly without much effort. What did you do and what quality might be linked to it? And what activities do you actually love doing? What energizes you? When do you feel alive and really like your true self? Approach number 4, how others see you. Now it's time to change perspective. Ask yourself, what do you get complimented for? What could be the underlying quality? And what would your partner, your family members, friends, or colleagues say are your key strengths? You might want to explore these 2 questions first for yourself and then reach out to a few trusted people in your network to get their opinion. Here are 2 questions that will help you in this regard. If you were to describe to another person what my 3 strengths are, which ones would you mention? And what situations can you think of in which I did something particularly well? What was it and to what strengths do you attribute it? Approach number 5, the unexplored. And then finally, let's dive into areas that might be untapped so far. What is something that you yearn to do? Something that you so far hesitated to do, but that you actually feel drawn to do? What quality might be related to this? And what is something that you love to do, but don't take enough time and space for? Once you have gone through these questions and listed your answers, review them. Try to find patterns. Then, for each quality or strength that you have identified, ask yourself 2 questions. The first question is this strength an energizing strength or a burnout strength, something that drains you? Well, if the latter, then what you think of as a strength might actually be a learned behavior or simply competency. Now, I'm not suggesting that you push aside your learned behaviors and competencies. They will, in many situations, still serve you very well. But what I am suggesting is that you learn to differentiate between a real strength and a learned behavior, so that you can take the right career choices that are built on your strengths, so that you can actually reap the related benefits that we explored in the earlier section of today's video. The second question that you want to ask yourself is as follows. If a strength energizes you, then ask yourself how frequently you're actually using it. If you only use it rarely, it might be worth considering strategies that will allow you to tap into this so far unrealized strength much more frequently, one strength at a time. I hope you find this video helpful. Hit the subscribe button to stay tuned to learn more proven actionable tips, tools, and strategies that will help you take the lead, thrive in your career, and succeed at work and beyond. And in case you would like to learn more about how you can actually make your strengths shine in your upcoming performing review, take a look at this video. And for further insights about how you put your strengths at work strategically, check out next week's video. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.